Hey, how's it going out there? This is the new show called The Top 10 Questions About, and then each episode will have a different topic. This one is the top 10 questions about mixing. I get a lot of questions about what's the difference between mixing and mastering. So here we are. All right. Number 10. What is mixing really? Well, mixing is the process of balancing and shaping and blending all the recorded tracks. Think of the recorded tracks as ingredients, and you send me the ingredients. I'm the cook. I polish and season those ingredients and put them into the pot at the right time and cook them down and make them taste good. Give it some punch, give it some flavor, and then I send it back. That's mixing. All right, big question. What's the difference between mixing and mastering? Mixing is about balancing the levels and everything inside the song as a whole. Everything inside, how everything levels out now, everything balances out and spreads, all the good stuff. And then mastering is the final little touch. Like when the chef on the cooking shows is plating it, that's mastering. But what's being plated, that's mixing. Mastering doesn't really change anything. And if there's a problem with your mix, mastering is going to show that problem like, hey, look at this. That's usually where the problems between the two start because there's usually a mixing engineer and a mastering engineer. And the mastering engineer will send it back saying, hey, there's no headroom. Yeah, I mix my own and master my own and then argue with myself. So that's the difference between mixing and mastering. Mixing is getting it all together, and mastering is sending it out and polishing it and making it sound good on all the different types of speakers. All right, question number 8. Do I need expensive gear to mix for a good mix? No, not at all. You need time and knowledge. That's it. You can do a great mix and a great master on a laptop. With these VSX headphones by Slate, you could literally mix and master a song on the back porch. That's the truth. Now, the expensive gear does help. It does have a vibe, it does have a flavor, and it does have a mix. Analog does have hair. I call it's like hair. It takes a normal song and gives it fur. And in a good way, the kind you like. I don't know where I'm going with that. Anyway, so no, you don't need expensive gear. You just need time and knowledge and patience and trial and error. You can do all that stuff with stock plugins and a laptop and these awesome headphones. Now, next question is, should I mix on headphones or speakers? Depends on the headphones. You don't want any that enhance the bass because they'll be lying to you. But there are certain brands of headphones that you can mix on. They're pretty pricey. These Slate VSX headphones, I think, are around $400, and they have all the different mixing modes and different ways you can check your mix. Beautiful. 100% recommend. I'm not being paid by Slate, by the way. I wish I was. I don't have any endorsements or any stuff like that. That'd be awesome. By the way, subscribe to my page. Hit that subscribe button. I don't know. I'm trying to work on different ways to say that. So the next question is, how loud should a mix be? That's common sense. You want it to be loud. In today's market, these rock songs that are on Spotify right now, they're mastered at around -6 LUFS. Now they tell you let's all master at -12. They're full of crap. You download any song that's popular right now, and then load it into your DAW and tell me if it clips, because it's gonna. Anyway, for mixing and mastering are two different volumes. For a mix, you want to leave headroom for the mastering to do its job. So I for the hottest mix that I'm going to send out, it's going to still leave 3 dB of headroom. That's minimum. And that's if I'm mastering it. If you do that to any other mastering engineer, he's going to send it back and be like, your mix engineer's stupid. And then it starts an argument back and forth. That's why send it to me and I'll do both. Yeah. Did you like that plug there? That was a good one. Hit that smash that like button. Hit the bell. Still working on it. I guess they call those transitions. Anyway, it would be cool if you sub. All right. Next question is, how do I get my vocals to sit right in the mix? Well, you look at the vocal, and it does depend on the vocal and the mix. If it's a real low vocal, you're going to carve out a spot in the guitars and all the other mixes to where that vocal is going to sit real low. Like you're usually around 1K and, around there. Anything below that's going to be muddy, and you don't want it to sit there anyway. But you just carve out a spot. So on your vocal track, get an EQ that shows the spectrum and see where that dominant frequency is. When the guy is singing, there'll be one peak that's higher than all the other ones in the frequency range. That's his dominant spectrum. That's also the frequency range that you carve out of all the other tracks, mainly the guitars and the overheads and everything that it's going to clash with. That way it's not clashing, and it just shines right through, because you want your vocal to shine. Don't tell the vocalist this, but that is the most important part. Their heads just exploded. He's running around the room, high-fiving himself. No. Sit down. I'm way more important. Anyway. Why does my mix sound muddy? Well, there's usually a buildup between 200 and 500 hertz. I don't really have a lot of problem with this, but I high-pass my guitars to around 100 hertz and my toms at around 80, and I make sure everything is high-passed differently. That way they all sit in different spectrums and nothing really builds up in one area. If anything usually does kind of sound gross at that 200 to 500 hertz thing, it's the overheads for sure. Cut all that out. And usually the guitars, that's usually where they're, and the vocals. You don't want no vocals right there. That's going to sound like muddy mess. So just carve out all that stuff. And then usually, if anything, like in my mixes on the master bus, there's usually a dip right there because I've carved it out so well by panning and everything and thinking about this in advance, knowing that everyone talks about this mud because they're not mixing with common sense. You know it's going to be there, so don't boost anything there. I never boost 200 to 500 on any track. Nothing. Just don't do it. You're not adding that stupid frequency range. I've seen mixers add a frequency range on the individual tracks and then remove that same frequency range on the master bus. I don't know if that sounds derpy to anyone else, but it sounds pretty derpy to me. So number 2, moving along. How do pros get that polished mix? It's not with one magic trick. It's with a bunch of tiny moves that add up throughout the mixing process. There's no real secret trick to any mix because every song is different. Anyone selling you a template is just selling you something. They just want you to buy it. They'll tell you whatever they want. This is how you sound metal. Then they sell you some shit. They don't care if it works. I'll never try to sell you a template. And if I do give any advice like that, it'll say all of this is depending on the subject matter. Because it matters. How fast the song is, where things smack, where they don't, does it get soft? Is there dynamics at all in this song? These things matter. So knowing that stuff is what gives a mix its polish. It's a lot of time. Thousands of hours of mixes. Thousands. I heard Chris Lord-Alge say, at 10,000 hours, then you can call yourself an amateur. I'm over 10,000 hours now, but I still consider myself an amateur. I mean, this is my little home mixing area where I have a laptop and these VSX where I do a lot of editing. You'll see pictures and video of my real studio that I have on my page, of course, if you subscribe. That one's pretty good. Okay. Number 1, how do I know when a song is finished? Well, you send it to me and I'll let you know. No, just kidding. You'll know when a song is finished when you can't add anything else to make it better. You want to make every part of that song, every part, better than it was when they sent it to you. That's your job. You're, I don't, it's polishing turds sometimes, but you better polish that damn thing. You're getting paid. Well, hopefully, most of the time. And I usually just work on it until I'm jaw dropped at the difference. One of the first things I do is I'll bring up a static mix, which is a good solid mix of the song and let it play all the way through to where it sounds good with only volume and panning. It's a static mix. And I work on that first static mix for about an hour, just letting the song play on its own, just on repeat. As I'm balancing faders, I have an analog board. Yeah, I know I said it didn't matter, but it does. In the sound, you can tell a difference if you have the right ears and, you know, care. But I let it just run through for about an hour. And I'm just balancing it out, panning things, and putting things where they go. And I get it to where it sounds good on its own all the way through, just like that. Then I save it. And then at the end of the mix, when I have it just smacked out, jaw dropped, slapping people in the face, then I compare the two. And when the difference between the two is making me amazed and jaw dropped, then I send it to the client because I want to drop their jaw. I want their reaction to be shock. If you haven't achieved that shock on your own to yourself, it ain't ready. Then you need to keep pushing until you shock yourself at the difference. That's the difference. That's how you know that this mix is ready to send for mastering. When you listen to that static mix, you're like, yeah, that's pretty good. Then you put on your finished mix and it's like smack, knocks your headphones off. Then you hit that smash that like button. Dude. No, that was kind of forceful. Anyway, that's the top 10 questions I get about mixing. We'll be back with more of these crazy top 10s. Each one will have a different topic. I think the next one will be top 10 questions about YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Where is it? Right there? It's right there. Boing. Bling. Ah. Now hit the bell. Wait, no, the bell's over here. I don't know what. Yeah. That was awkward. Peace.